Hi, my name's Rebecca. Welcome to my channel. I was recently having a conversation with one of my friends and he was complaining to me that he had been stretching for weeks and he was seeing no progress and he didn't know what he was doing wrong. So I talked to him, I asked him what he was doing, and immediately a bunch of things stood out to me. I realized a lot of people talk about what to do while you stretch, but not really what not to do. Hence the title of this video. So I'm just gonna jump into them, the top 5 biggest mistakes that I see people make when they're stretching and why they're not seeing results. So the number 1 mistake that I see, the most common mistake, is not breathing through your stretch. I don't know why people do this. I don't know if it helps them with the pain. I don't know if it makes them not think about it as much, but this is the most detrimental thing I think you can do to your stretching. Kind of going hand in hand with holding your breath is when you hold your breath, you are also in turn tensing up your muscles, and that is going to restrict the mobility of your chest and your muscles to be able to sink into each other. The whole point of a stretch is to be able to hold a position and sink deeper and deeper into it. As time goes, your muscles start to relax, and that's how they become accustomed to that motion. But if the second you feel resistance, you're like, and you just stop yourself, like, you are not allowing your body to mold into that shape. Does that make sense? I'm sure there's science behind it. That's not really a scientific explanation, but I'm just saying, as somebody who has stretched their entire life, every time I hold my breath during my stretch, I do not feel any improvement. I have to hold the position for a long period of time and breathe into it, and only then do I feel my muscles slowly start to allow themselves to like mold to that shape. Next thing I hear all the time is, oh, I stretched for 5 minutes, like right before my workout. Why am I not getting more flexible? You're not gonna get more flexible in 5 minutes. I always like to compare stretching to exercising. People kind of see stretching as a warm-up to their exercise, but if you are very serious about progressing in your stretching, you have to treat stretching as if it's its own workout. The same way that you lift weights and you strengthen your muscles, when you stretch, you're lengthening the muscles. You're still changing the composition of your muscles. So it takes time and it takes dedication. There's conditioning for strength training and there's conditioning for flexibility. So if you want to get your splits, if you want to get any sort of flexibility in your body, you have to dedicate at a minimum 10 to 15 minutes. When I like to stretch, I will stretch for 20 to 30 minutes at a time. But if you're a beginner, I know that seems like a lot. Some people are like, what do I even do for that long? I'm thinking about making like follow along stretching videos. So maybe I can do one of that length one day. But for right now, make sure you don't rush through your stretches. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds is not enough time for there to be any significant change in your muscle. You have to hold them for at least 30 seconds. I want to say a minute. Most people don't wait that long. Some people say 30 seconds is enough. I would say 30, closer to 60 seconds is ideal. Okay, next one, not as common, especially if you're an athlete or you've been in a sport of some sort before, but people who haven't really exercised before, a lot of people don't like to warm up to stretch because they see stretching as the warm-up. So they think, okay, I'll just like ease into it, but that is not a good idea. There's a difference between static and dynamic stretching, and a lot of people kind of like to do dynamic stretching as their warm-up. So if they're doing static stretching, which is like holding one position for a long period of time, while dynamic stretching is more like bouncing and like moving up and down really fast. Yeah, like that kind of works, but if you're going to have an intense stretching session, you need to warm up before you stretch. By warm up, I just mean get your muscles warm. So, go for a walk, go for a jog, maybe do some jumping jacks. It doesn't have to be long, but do not go from sitting down all day and then sit on the floor and say, okay, I'm gonna deep stretch now. And then you just do this little number and then, all right, I'm ready to go. Like, you are going to pull something. That's very important. Stretching is not necessarily a warm-up. If you are focusing on your stretching, you need to do a separate warm-up to stretch. Important. The next one is ignoring your pain tolerance. So what I mean by that is, I've heard a lot of times that people say stretching isn't supposed to be painful. Like if your body is telling you, oh, this hurts, you should stop. And I don't really like that phrasing because It's true, but only to an extent. Like, for example, when you exercise, you are fatiguing your body. You are pushing your body to the limit. And there are points where your body just does not want to go anymore, but you have to push yourself. And it does start to hurt a little bit, but there's a difference between like acceptable pain and then like, oh my gosh, this is agony. And that's where I feel like this is kind of like a fine line. I don't want to say completely ignore the pain and like don't be a baby, just like keep going even if it hurts, because that's not necessarily true. I think it's really hard to explain in words, but it's just kind of more intuition when you know like, okay, this is a good kind of pain versus a bad kind of pain. So my advice would be listen to your body. It is going to be uncomfortable when you stretch. If you stop as soon as you feel any sort of resistance, if you feel any sort of discomfort, you are not going to get better. You are not going to see a difference because you are only going as far as your body is used to. And the whole point of stretching, of exercising, is pushing your body past what it's used to. It is important when you stretch to make sure that you are pushing yourself, but you have to know the difference between pushing yourself into tolerable levels of pain and, you know, just feeling like everything's just about to like rip and still trying to push past that. Like, no, don't do that. You should feel uncomfortable for a little bit, but you should ease into it and just, you know, try to be in tune with your body. And the last mistake most people make when they stretch is not being consistent. I know a lot of people know this, I know everyone says it, but for some reason, a lot of people still don't stick with things and they think, okay, I can stretch once a week or when I feel like it or things like that. But even if you fix all the mistakes that I said previously, you don't hold your breath, you have long sessions, you're not tense, you warm up, and then you do it once a week, once every few weeks when you feel like it, just very inconsistently, none of it matters. You can have the most optimal, efficient, best stretching routine, but if you are not sticking with it, if you are not doing it consistently, you are not going to see progress. I think even if you do not listen to the other tips and you stretch completely inefficiently, but you are very consistent, you will still see more progress than someone who is efficient with their stretching and does it every once in a while. So consistency is key. I know everyone says it and it's very annoying because obviously if it was easy, everyone would be consistent with everything they want to accomplish. But you just have to set aside a specific amount of time. Probably set it like, okay, at this time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday through Friday, I'm going to stretch for this skill for this many minutes a day doing this stretching routine, and just do the same thing over and over and over and over again, and I promise you, you will see results. It is so important. I cannot stress it enough. So those are my tips coming from somebody who just got back into stretching. I lost a lot of my flexibility just because I kind of abandoned stretching after high school and stuff. Got a job, I started working and everything, and I just didn't have a sport or a club or anything that made me stretch, so I just stopped doing it and I lost a lot of my flexibility. So as someone who is getting back into it and learning from my own mistakes, learning from other people's mistakes, I hope this helps. I am thinking about making follow along stretch with me routines. Hopefully I can make better videos about that stuff moving forward. So I hope this helps somebody. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know what you're working on if you are stretching right now and have specific goals, so I can try and make maybe specific videos about what you're trying to learn. And yeah, thank you again for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Bye.